Hi and welcome to Unity tutorial of a sailing boat. Let me show you how these boats work. I'm going to press down my W key, and you can also use your arrow key. So that's the W key. If I press the S key, it will reverse. So let's use the arrow key. There. We're now heading straight to the ocean. There we go. Take a good look at the sky. And there are some other boats on the sea already. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to take you guys straight into Unity development environment, and we'll put something very similar to this together. So let's do that now, guys. Okay, let's start a new project. But one thing I'd like to show to you guys is I have imported the following asset. Straight into my project area: all skybox, building apartment, fishing boat, standard asset, USSC, brig sloop, and white city. So to import all of those assets, all you need to do is go straight into Windows, select your asset store, and just enter. Let's click on this search and you just enter whatever you intend to, whatever asset you're looking for. There we go. Like I have the standard asset. You may have to carry out one or two amendments with the errors though. So that's the standard asset, or better still, you can go to Unity archives. So you can get your standard assets here, like I said, or you go into the Unity archives right here. Let's see right here. So if you come down, you can just select the year you want, but inside Unity 2018 1.2, let's click on 1.2. Come right down here. 2018.1.2. I think I've seen it in there. Let's check this out first. No, it's not there. There we go. Unity 2018.1.2. Right in there, we should be able to see the standard asset. Let me show it to you guys so that you can see it. There. You can just download your standard asset from there. You will have to correct one or two errors though. All you need to do is to delete those files. The simple, I think it's called simple menu, and the other one force resets. There. So I'm going to minimize that. Okay, and the other assets, you can get them from Unity. There they are. If you don't want to if you already have them on your asset store, you can always go to package manager, and inside your package manager, let's wait for that to enable. There. Once your package manager is enabled, you just drop this down. You see package in project, drop it down, select my asset. Okay, and right there you can just type in whatever you're looking for, whatever asset you're looking for. Let's assume we want to look for all sky. There we go. Okay, that is it right there, all sky free. I think the size is about 300 and something. Yeah, 312.53. And let's say you're looking for building apartment. Let's take that off and come for building apartment. And there we go. We have different buildings apartment here. This is the one I'm using. All you need to do is click on it and just click on download. Okay, and let's say we want to look for fishing boats. So I'm going to enter fishing boat here. And let's see fishing boat. There we go. That's my fishing boat right there. This is the one I'm is one of the boats I'll be using, and the other one that I will also use is called Brig Slop. Where is that? I think that is it. Yeah, that is the ship that I'm going to be using as well. Just click on download. It's only 14 megabytes. I already have it on my system. And that's all about all the various assets. I'm going to right click on the assets store now and just close that tab. Now let's come in here. Go straight to your hierarchy, or you can come in here to select your plane. You can do that on hierarchy here, or you can always just right click and select whatever you want there. Okay, and I'm going to change the size of that to 1000. Alright, let's go for 1000 as well. See the plane, the y-axis of this plane is always 1, except if you make it -1. With -1 you won't see anything. The default value is 1 because it has no volume. So let's go into my asset. I'm going to right click and let's create a material. So that material, I'm just going to call it sand. Select your material and let's come into where we have albedo. As you are aware previously, you can always select color there, but I don't want to select color. Right beside the albedo is a small icon. Click on that icon and all of these assets opens up. The one we're looking for, you can type it in there, is the material. Okay, let's select that, and that's all there is to it. That is done. Grab your material, drop it right onto your plane there. So that is taken care of. If I run my system now, this is what you guys will see. There we go. That is the sun. Looks like a desert, and you can see the horizon. Now let's change the sky. That's the whole purpose of all skybox. I'm going to go straight into Windows and let's select rendering, select lighting, and inside this folder of lighting, let's click on environment. And inside the environment, you see where we have skybox material. Click on the small icon here and let's look for our sky that we tend to use. Look, we have different types here, but I'm going to settle for this there. So I'm going to run it one more time so that you guys see the sky on my system. There we go. Look at the sky and look at the horizon right there. That's good. Now let's come in here. The next thing I want to do now is to add the sea, but let's do one thing first. You see my camera? I'm going to select that camera and I'll make the Z. Okay, let's go for the x-axis of the position. I'm going to make that to -219. Okay, and I'm going to make the y-axis 44 and leave the rest setting just the way they are. Now let's go into my standard asset. Inside the standard asset, I need environment. That is it right there. Double click on the environment, and we also need the water. Double click on water. The folder we're looking for is the water folder. Double click on that and come straight into the prefab. Double click on the prefab, grab the water, just drop it there. There we go. Now I want to carry out 1 or 2 changes on this water. First of all, I'll make the x-axis 1000. The y-axis, make it 200, and the z-axis, let's make that about 100. I think that is fine. And here maybe change this to about 7. And I'm going to come down here. You see the overall quality. Let's see first. I'm going to run it. Let's see how it's going to look like before I carry out any other changes. I may have to set the overall quality to low. Look at that. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay. Let's see if I set it to low, what's going to happen. Come right here. Let's set it to low. Look at that. It looks very dull. may have to leave it the way it was, and it looks calm. Let's go back to high. We can always change it again if we don't like the way it looks like. And I think that's about it for now. You see where we have per pixels. I know it's 1.44 that we have in there. Let's see if I make it nothing, and let's see what's going to happen. Let's see that. Look at that. Okay, maybe go back to 1.44. Alright, we'll leave it the way it is. Okay, the next thing we want to do now is to add some cubes, but before I do that, yeah, I think it's alright like this. Before I do that, I'm going to come in here. So let's right click and select create empty game object. This game object, I'm just going to call this island 1, the first island. Okay, let's say first island. And or maybe just call it island 1, so that I will be able to see that. Yeah, the next one I'm going to call it island number 2. So that's the name of that. Let's come in here. We can also come to the hierarchy and select create empty game object, and I'll call that island number 2 there. Now select island number 1. Inside island number 1, I'm going to right click and let's add a cube. Go to 3D, add a cube. That is my cube right there. And now let's change the dimension of that very cube. For cube number 1, I'm going to make it 480, and make the height 80 as well. The z-axis is 360. Let's see so that you guys can see it. And as for the position, you see the rotation, I'm going to make that 90. Still working on the cube. And what else? You see here the z-axis there, I'm going to make it 22.8. And here let's make that minus 24. And right here we make that 297.2 there. So let's look for it. This is it right there, and that is it right there. Okay, that's my very first island. All right, I'm going to right click on that and copy, drag this into island number 2. As for the island number 2, let's carry out the following changes. I'm going to make it minus 213. I'm going to leave this as 24. This is fine, and that is fine. If I run my program, this is how it's going to look like. Let's see. The camera is already set in between, but I want both. I think I may have to reset this camera again. Come back in here. I want the camera to show. Yeah, this is how I want the camera to show my system. Alright, look at the indicator right there. Alright, let's run it now. There we go. Okay, that's fine. Let's see if we can use the field of view of the camera. Let's move it back a little bit, and let's run it. That's about 90 might be the ideal field of view. Okay, that's good. All right, let's grab one shape and just place that shape right there. Okay, so I'm gonna come right here. I don't need anything in here for now, so let's go to the USS, this very ship, the one that is called USS. Collapse this one and grab the ship. Let's paste it right there. Let's see how that's going to look like. Oh, we can't see that ship. Let's move it to where the camera is. Move it down here towards here. I may have to increase the size of that ship. You might not be able to see it. Okay, that is it right there. So let's do one thing. And increase the size a little bit, make it about maybe 2 by 2 by 2. Run, let's see. That is my ship right there. Okay, let's do one thing with this ship. Make sure the ship is selected. That is the ship right there. I'm now going to go in here inside my asset, right click, and let's select script so that we can drive that ship around. I'll just call it ship controller. There. Select my ship controller. Either you double click on it or you select it and open it up. Let's come in here. Click on open. Okay, first of all, let's declare the following. I'm going to enter public float, and now we call these. Let's try that again. So I'm going to enter public float in there. So get rid of the comment public float. Speed equals, I'm going to make my speed about 40 just to speed things up. There. And enter semicolon there. Now, I will also declare what I will call, shall we call it turning rate or rate of turn? Rate turn. Okay, make that maybe about maybe 30. That's fine. Now the next thing I want to declare is going to be my be a rigid body. So rigid, so that's a private rigid body. That reminds me, I must enter a rigid body to the ship. There, I'll call it RB, and let's come in here and we say RB equals get components. And the component that we're getting, we put that inside rigid body. That's a rigid body, and enter parenthesis here, then semicolon. So let's come into update. Right inside the update, what we want to do is declare some, create some object in here. So let's say floats M horizontal. Okay, that's enough. And come in here, enter input.get asset. .get has assets. Okay, and I'm now going to say the asset we're talking of is an horizontal one. Horizontal. Enter semicolon here. Then I'm going to create one for vertical asset as well. Copy that, come right down here, paste, and this will become vertical. Let's change this to vertical here, vertical as well. There. And let's use vector 3. And my vector 3 is going to be, it's not vector 2, it's vector 3. Let's call that motion. Motion equals new vector 3, and this new vector 3 is going to be horizontal move horizontal, M horizontal, comma 0.0. As for the y-axis, because it won't be able to move up or move to the y-axis, then the next one is going to be vector, M vertical, and right here we enter comma. So all of the vector movement is move horizontal, which is here. The y-axis movement is 0. The z-axis movement is right here. Okay, all of these variables more or less are recognized by Unity. Now let's come down here. The first thing I'm going to then do is I'm going to add rigid body dot torque. We want to add torque to it for our turning. There we go. And for it to turn, I'm going to say 0f comma M horizontal, multiply that by speed, and we multiply that by time dot delta time, comma 0.0 f. There, that takes care of that. Now let's add something for our force. So I'm going to say rb dot add force. Okay, let's paste that. In this case, that is going to be motion, this one. Let's paste motion here. Motion multiplied by speed, and we then multiply by that turn rate, or rate turn, multiplied by rate turn. There, and multiply that by time dot delta. There we go. That's it. Let's spread that out so that you guys can see it. I'm going to get rid of this. And that's all there is to that. Okay, I'm going to go into Unity now. But before that, I have to save this. Come in here, make sure it's saved. There. And let's go straight into Unity. There we go. Now, our ship control or ship controller, we now need to attach that to the ship itself. So grab that, drag, and that is the ship. Just dock it right there. There, if you select the ship, that is it right there. Okay. But if we run it now, nothing will happen because we need to add a rigid body to the ship. So I'm going to come in here, click on add, and let's add a rigid body. There we go. Now that rigid body is added, I'm going to set the mass as 1. Drag is going to be 1, and this angular drag, let's make that 1. We can change that though, and use gravity, that's going to be unchecked. So let's try that out now since all of that is set. Maybe move this a little bit, let's see. And if it works fine, then we add a camera to it. That is my ship. So let's see, look at that cruise. It's cruising along. There we go, guys. So now let's write 1 or 2 lines of code. Just maybe 2 lines of code for the camera to follow the ship to wherever the ship is going, heading to. Alright, so let's select the camera, and I'm going to come into add right here, add components. Let's collapse this, add components, and I just want to enter a script there. That is it. We can call that camera controller. There we go. and that is my camera controller there. You can double click on it to open it up, or just select and click on open once the system is ready. Okay, let's just open up the camera there. There we go. I'm going to get rid of these comments and this other one as well. Get rid of those. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a public game object. And this game object is going to be called a sailor. There. Now, I will also create another variable. This one is going to be private vector3, and this vector3 I'm going to ask it to offset. Now let's come into start. You see this offset? I want you to store the value of the difference between the camera and the ship itself. So we will then enter and say transform dot position, that is the position of the camera, subtract the position of the camera from the sailor, dot the position. Let's say transform the position of the sailor. Copy all of that, enter semicolon. So the position of the ship is subtracted from the position of the camera and then stored inside offset. So let's come in here and say transform then, which is the camera, equals the sailor, and we add the offset to it, plus the offset. That should actually give us the exact position of the ship wherever it is. So I'm going to save it, make sure it is saved. But one thing first is this, instead of it to update right now, I want it to be late update. So I'm going to change that method to late update. Save that. Now let's go into Unity here. Open it up. Right. Now let's make sure the camera has the details of, yes it does, but now we need to add the ship that is going to be following there. So if we run it, the camera should actually follow wherever the ship is heading. Okay, so let's roll the ship. You just hold on to your arrow key, and there we go. The camera is actually following the ship. You might not notice it until it's out of the eyeball. Look at that. It's now going straight into the sea. You see that, guys? Alright, let's end that. I think this wave, we may have to do something with that water to calm it down a little bit. Let me select the water and come, select the sea or whatever it's called. There we go. That's it right there. I'm going to come right here. Raise the power, reduce the power, reduce the power a little bit, and these pixels, reduce that a bit as well. Run. Let's see. That should be a little bit much better. Okay. Alright, let's close that. And one other thing we can do with that C is we can come in here. You see where we have the quality. I'm going to reduce that to, let's go to low. Yeah, I'm going to make it low. Run. Let's see how that's going to look like. Yeah, I think the sea now looks a bit calmer. That's fine. Okay, the ship is now sailing away. That's alright. Alright, so end that. Now let's add some more sheep. Okay, let's come into where I have my sheep here, and I'm going to add more sheep. Grab that and bring it up a little bit. I just copy that. Control D. just add more of those. Select both sheep, just Control D again. So I'm going to add more of those. Let's have sheep all over the place. So this big guy here need to find a place to sail across. Right. So let's come in here. We have all the sheep here. Oh, come on, let's go back in there. Drop this down. There. And there is, let's just press Ctrl D and just drag. So we have more ships in the ocean. Ctrl D. Yeah, I think that will do. Alright. 1, 2. Ctrl D and just bring this here. Okay, so we have enough sheep around, so the sheep are everywhere. So let me just create an empty game object. Let's call that sheep. There. Drag all of them straight in there. Just pull out that. And now, you see the island? Let's zoom out a little bit and add some buildings to both islands. Right, this one is right inside here, so that's fine. Okay, so we want the building in here, so right click. No, we don't need to right click. Let's come in here, the building apartment. Double click on prefab, grab one of those, drop it there. Let's change the size of that to about 10. That might be too much. Let's make this 7, 5. So this one will be 5 as well. Let's make that 10. 10 looks a bit much better. Right, that's fine. Move it right here. Now Control D. Let's copy it. We have 2. Select both. Control D. One more. And a Control D there. There. Those are the buildings in there. So I'm going to select them all. I want to make sure they are all inside where they're meant to be. They should all be right in here. The first island. And this goes in here as well. So select it all. Right click. Duplicate. Just drag it across. Yeah. And let's come back to standard assets and grab some trees. You have the trees in here, or you can always just search for it. The trees are inside the environment, or you can just type in trees there. And the trees are inside the speed trees. Double click, just drag the tree. You can just paste it right there. I'm going to increase that to about 7, 9, 7. That's a little bit too high. Let's make this 7 and this 5. 5 and 5 here. Right. Hold on to Control D. Control D again. So we get it right. Control D. We have 3 there. There. And where is the other one? Right. Let's see. I think that's it right up there. Now Control D. And just push that across. Yeah. This tree, 1, 2, 3, that should go in here. Why? 1, 2 will come right in. Or where would that be? Yeah, okay, that'll be right in there. Grab and just dump it right in there. Okay. So if I run it now, let's see how that's going to look like. There we go. And you just sail. sail away straight into the ocean. There we go, guys. Look at that. That is beautiful. And that is how you create your own sailing boat in Unity. So with that, guys, I'm going to call it the end of this tutorial. You can always improve on it by adding more buildings and so on. Okay, so we just call it the end of this tutorial. You all have a nice day and bye for now.